everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone is doing great. Let's solve today's Leetcode problem 3640 Trionic array 2. Okay, you are given an integer array nums of length n. A Trionic array is a contiguous array subarray nums of L till R with 0 less than or equal to L less than or less than R less than n, for which there exist indices L, P, Q, R which are strictly less than, okay, such that nums from L to P is strictly increasing, P to Q is strictly decreasing, from Q to R it is strictly increasing. Okay, so there exists L, P, Q, R such that from L to P it is increasing strictly, from P to Q it is strictly decreasing, from Q to R it is strictly increasing. Okay, so if you see, these are the various examples where various subarrays which are trionic. Okay, return maximum subarray of trionic, maximum sum of any trionic subarray in nums. Okay, if you see from here all the way till end, this is a valid trionic. If you choose from here till all the way till then, this is also valid trionic. Or if I choose to start at this and if I choose to end over here, this is also valid trionic, right? So there are, if you notice, there are various start points and in the first increasing sequence, and there are various end points in the last increasing sequence. Okay, this is fixed, you cannot skip this. All the elements in the middle part has to be considered. Okay, so there are various options in the first and last. Okay, so how can I identify whether I am on this increasing sequence or this increasing sequence or this decreasing sequence? Okay, let's call this as trend 1 and this as trend 2 and this as trend 3. Okay, if I am starting off a trend, let me call it as 0. Okay, I'm at trend 0. Okay, so if nums of I is less than nums of I plus 1, okay, if you choose any two elements here, okay, nums of I is less than nums of I plus 1, that means I am on increasing trend. Okay, if nums of I, okay, is greater than nums of I plus 1, that means I am on decreasing trend. Okay, now using these two properties I can identify I am on which trend. Okay, so as I have explained, I have multiple options whether to start my trionic subarray at a given index or not. Okay, whether I choose to start my trionic subarray at this index or I choose to skip it and start at the next index. Okay, or if I can start at this index or I can choose to skip and start at the next index. So if you see, at any given index I have two possible options, right? Either I can start at this index, okay, or I don't choose to start at this index, right? So if you see, I have multiple options. Whenever multiple options we have, okay, first thing that comes into my mind is whether I can apply dynamic programming or not. Okay, so let me try to define a state. Okay, f of I k such that this particular function will tell me what is the maximum sum of a trionic array from index I all the way till end. Okay, if I call my function at 1 comma 0, if I pass 1 comma 0 saying that I have to start at a trend 0, that means it will tell me what is the maximum sum of a trionic array starting at that particular index. Okay, so let's see, if I'm beginning of at any particular trend, okay, that means I have two options. Okay, either I can choose to start my trionic subarray or I not to start at their particular index. Okay, either to start my trionic at that particular index I or move forward. Okay, if I don't choose to start at that particular trionic index, that means I will simply go to my next index and I will still try to find the answer for the given key. Okay, saying that I want to start my trionic array at the next index. Okay, I'm just storing that answer. Okay, next is, if I've started my trionic array, okay, if my current element is less than my next element, that means I can increase, that means I'm I am on trend 1, that means I can start my trend 1 basically. Okay, so I am at k equal to 0 state, and if my current element is strictly less than next element, that means okay, I can include the current element, and I can simply ask, okay, I will simply say try to get the answer from I plus 1 for the increasing trend. Okay, so what I'm saying is, if I'm at this particular point, okay, and if nums of I is less than nums of I plus 1, that means I can start my first trend. Okay, so that is what I'm doing. If I'm at k equals 0, and if my current element is less than the next element, that means I will include the current element in my answer and try to get the answer for the next increasing trend. Okay, or if I am at k equal to 1, that means if I am in my increasing trend, okay, that means either I choose to increase my trend, or I'm at the end of my trend. Okay, that means the next decreasing trend is going to start. Okay, so if my current element is less than the next element, okay, that means I'm in my increasing trend. Okay, then I will include my current element into my answer, and I will ask to get the answer from the next index. Okay, if I am edge of my trend, okay, I'm edge of my first increasing trend, that means if nums of I is less than nums of I plus 1, that means my decreasing trend is going to start here. Okay, then I would say I will include my current element and ask from the next index to say to start the decreasing trend. Okay, so that means k equal to 2 will start. Okay, so if I'm at k equal to 2 state, okay, if I am in k equal to 2 state, okay, if I am in the decreasing trend, okay, either I choose to continue my decreasing trend, or I will be ending my decreasing trend. Okay, if I have to continue my decreasing trend, right, if I have to continue my decreasing trend, that means nums of I should be greater than nums of I plus 1. So if nums of I is greater than nums of I plus 1, I can include the current element in my answer, and get the answer from for the next index for the same state. Or if my trend is ending, okay, that means I have to I have to go to the next index and get the answer for the next trend. Okay, so that is what I am doing. Okay, if if I am if I am in my third trend, okay, that means I can choose to end my Trionic subarray at this given point, or I can choose to continue my Trionic subarray. If I choose to end my Trionic subarray, that means nums of I will be the last element which will be included as part of my Trionic array, and I will be trying to maximize my answer. Okay, if not, okay, if there exists a next element, and if the next element is greater than if there exists a next element, and if the next element is actually greater than my the current element, that means I can include the next element in my answer, and I will try to maximize it, get the answer from the next element all the way till the end. Okay, if you see, my I and k both are increasing. Okay, k is basically taking only three values, 0 1 2 3. The moment I reach 3, that means okay, all the three trends were covered. Okay, the moment I reached my end of the array, and if my k is equal to 3, okay, that means there are no more elements to consider, then I will be just returning 0. Or else if my k is not equal to 3, and if I reach the end of my array, that means I am not able to fulfill my Trionic subarray, and then I will be returning a minimum value. Since we are trying to maximize, I will be returning the minimum value. Okay, I hope you understood the recurrence relation and the different states which we are actually going through. Let me show you the code which how I have implemented. Okay, so as I mentioned, so I will be having a function called f, right? Here I choose the function called f of I comma k. Instead of f of I comma k, I have defined the function name as max, which will take I and k. Okay, and then I will be calling the max function from the start index with the 0 trend as the beginning. Okay, which will tell me the maximum answer for the entire array. Okay, so the base case is straightforward. As I mentioned, once we reach the end, if I have reached my third increasing sequence, then I will be returning 0. That means there are no more elements to consider, so I will be returning 0. If I didn't reach my third increasing trend, that means I will be returning minimum value. Okay, let me don't look at the dp value. We'll try to I will try to explain you in the later point of time. Okay, so at any given point, as I mentioned, there are two values. Either I can take the current element, or I choose to not to take a current element. Okay, if I am at k equal to 0, that means I have two options, either to skip it or either to take it. Only when I'm at k equal to 0, okay, I have option to skip it. Okay, so I am skipping it and I'm going to the next element. I'm trying to get the answer. Okay, if I am at k equal to 0 and if the next element is greater than the current element, that means I have to basically include the current element into my answer. Okay, I'm not including it. Okay, I'm just trying to get the answer for the next element and all the way till the end. Okay, now if I'm at k equal to 1, okay, and if the next element, that means I am at my increasing trend. Okay, here. Okay, if k is equal to 1, that means I am part of my increasing trend. Okay, so I am part of my increasing trend. Okay, if I am part of my increasing trend, that means either I can choose to extend my trend or I will be ending my trend. Okay, if I want to extend my trend, that means the next element should be greater than the current element. Okay, if the next element is greater than the current element, that means I can choose to extend it. Okay, so my answer will be max of I plus 1 comma I. Okay, I'm just taking a current variable which will just consider this as a current option. If this is not the situation, that means I am at the end of my this trend. Okay, if I am at this end of this trend, that means the next trend is gonna start. So that is what I'm doing. I am getting the maximum from the next element for the next trend. Okay, if the next option is k equal to 2, that means I am in my decreasing trend. When I am in my decreasing trend, the next element is actually when the next element is lesser than the current element, that means I can extend my trend. Okay, if the next element is less than my current element, I can extend my trend. Okay, so I'm getting the maximum value from the next index for the same trend. Okay, if my next element is greater than my current element, that means the third trend is starting. That means I have to get the answer for the next trend from the next index. Okay, I'm just including all these possible options into current variable, and then I'm actually updating my take with to maximize it. Okay, so either I will include the current element and get the answer for the next element. So that is what I'm doing. Instead of maximizing it at each particular point of time, I've just extracted and I kept it separately. Okay, so here I can include it. So that is what I'm including the current element and getting the answer from the next element, including current element and getting, that is what I'm doing. Okay, I'm just extracted this piece of code from all of these blocks. Okay, I hope you got the understanding. So for all these options, I was trying to get the next possible answer either for the current state or for the next state, and then I'm including the current element and the next possible answer. So this way I'm maximizing the answer for the take. Okay, if I'm at k equal to 3, okay, if I am at k equal to 3, that means I am in the increasing trend. Okay, the last increasing trend, either I choose to end it or I choose to continue it, right? So here, if you see, here we have the option for the continuing part. Okay, and here I have kept it separately to maximize it. Okay, so in the end I have just taking the maximum of take and non-take. Okay, so so if you see, we are actually doing recursion call on I and k, where I is actually taking values from 0 to n and k is taking values from 0 to 3. Okay, if you draw the tree diagram, you will notice that there are multiple states which will be actually repeating. Okay, so since we don't want to recompute the answers again and again, we will be caching the values which were already calculated. So I have just defined a variable. I have defined an 2D array which is of long and named it as dp, which is of size of n and size of 4. Okay, and then I'm just memoizing my answers, okay, in the starting and in the ending. Okay, so in the explanation I was uh, writing these conditions as nums of I is less than nums of I plus 1, whereas in the code I have written vice versa. Okay, so don't get confused regarding that. Okay, I hope you have understood the explanation. Okay, so if you like the explanation, and hit the like button or also hit the subscribe button. So let's try to analyze the time complexity. Okay, as you can see, we are at max computing the states of n into k, n into 4. Okay, so the overall time complexity will be big O of n into k, where k is 4, which is constant. So overall time complexity we can say as big O of n, and overall space complexity is the space complexity for this caching and the uh, call for the call stack. Space for the call stack. Space for the call stack is basically it will go all the way from constant big O of n. Okay, and this extra space will be taking off big O of n into 4, which will be also constant big O of n, where 4 is constant. We can say space complexity also big O of n. Okay, so the overall time complexity and space complexity is big O of n. Okay, and let's try to submit this problem. As you can see, all the test cases were passed, and it is pretty efficient solution as well in terms of time and space complexity. So if you like the video explanation, hit the like button and hit the subscribe button, and don't miss to provide your valuable feedback in the comment section. I will be posting this solution. I will be providing you the solution in the description. You can check it out as well. Thank you.